Hi, leprechaun scientists. Do you know where we are? Let's look around. We're in the kitchen and we're going to do some experiments. So, I have a sink and I have filled the sink with some water. I also have a few things that I found around my house. I have a glass jar, an apple, a colored pencil, and a spoon. We're going to first see if these items sink or if they float. So if they sink, they're going to go to the bottom of the water, and if they float, they're going to stay on top. Look at these items and make a hypothesis. So make a guess in your head if you think this is going to sink or if you think this is going to float. Okay, let's start with apple. Do you think the apple will sink or do you think the apple will float? Make your hypothesis. Then we're going to conduct the experiment. Okay, let's see. The apple floats. It's floating around the water. You see that? It's swimming. So if you guessed that the apple would float, you were correct. If you guessed that the apple would sink, you can now change your mind because now after the experiment, you've learned that it floats. What about the glass jar? Make your hypothesis. Will this sink or will this float? Okay, now let's conduct our experiment. It is floating. Now the glass jar is filled with air. I bet that if we were to fill the glass jar with water and then put it back in the sink, it would sink. So now it's sunk. So when it's empty and it only has air in it, it floats. And when it's full of water, it sinks. Okay, let's look at the spoon. Do you think the spoon will sink or do you think the spoon will float? Let's find out. That's interesting. The top of the spoon, this part, sunk, and this part floated. Watch again. You see how this part is moving around, but this part's touching the bottom. Pretty cool. Okay, last one, colored pencil. Let's see if it sinks or float. Make your hypothesis. It floats. Actually, most wood floats. Wood is very buoyant. It floats in water, and that's why they used to make a lot of boats out of wood. Okay, speaking of boats, we're going to make one. I have some tin foil, and if you have tin foil in your house, you can use that. And if you don't, you can try to use something else. But I'm going to try to make a boat using tin foil. And then I want to see how many colored pencils my boat can hold before it sinks. Okay? So let's see. I'm going to try a couple different ways of folding the boat. I don't know which way is going to be best. I'm doing an experiment, so I don't know if this will work or not, and that's okay. Okay, so I folded the tin foil into the shape of a boat. Let's see. Can you see that? So I made my tin foil into a boat. Let's see if the boat floats. It does, look. So the boat floats. That's the first part. Now, I'm gonna take some colored pencils and see how many colored pencils this boat will hold before it sinks. Make your hypothesis of how many colored pencils it will hold before it sinks. I think it might hold 6. So let's see. 1, still floating. 2, still floating. 3, still floating. Let me move it back here so we can see it. 4, 5, 6. Oh, so my hypothesis was wrong. I put 6 and it's still floating. Let's see. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Oh my goodness, it held all of my colored pencils. That's pretty cool. I wonder if it will hold an apple. Let's see if the apple will make it sink or if it will still float with the apple. Oh, there it goes. So the apple was too heavy, but it held 18 colored pencils before it sank. Try using some tin foil or whatever else you have around your house at home and see if you can make a boat that floats, and see if you can put things in your boat and see how many things it will hold until it sinks. Have fun, scientists!